welcome everyone to Sunday Sentiments.
Of course, this is a hate crime.
And if she's found guilty, then she has to face the consequences.
They normally end up killing some particular kinds of people.
It's a violation of human rights.
That's a very traumatic event.
So I just wanted to ask the panel about their own opinions on this topic.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sunday Sentiments. Sunday Sentiments is a segment on our YouTube channel where a panel comes together and discusses current events and hot topics from all around the world. Please be aware that the views that we share on this panel do not reflect the views of Four Wings as an organization. These are everybody's personal opinions that they're sharing today. So the topic today is about the Tinder Swindler, and that will be hosted by Keshi. I'll be handing it over to you now.
Thank you, Shakira. The next segment, or rather this segment, is about the Tinder Swindler, which is a true crime documentary on Netflix, trending around the world, number 4 in Denmark. And this is a story of a man called Simon Lviv, or Simon Hayut, aka Simon Lviv, who he swindled women around the world and has defrauded women for over $10 million. He has never been charged for defrauding them. And he did all this on Tinder, where, as one woman said, one little swipe can change your whole life. So we have 3 women featured in this documentary. And this documentary actually emphasizes the story we had earlier, we talked about, where women are conditioned. And at the beginning of this documentary, we have a woman talking about the story of Beauty and the Beast, and how this story has always wanted her to have that kind of romance where there comes a prince and he saves her. So, and then at the end, we see a man defrauding women, getting away with it, and has never been charged. So I wanted to ask the panel, those who have watched the story, those who know of this story, what they think about this story. And I'll ask you from how you appear on my screen. So I'll just mention and ask you to give your opinion, and we'll start with Kerigo. If you've watched this documentary, what do you think of this story?
Sorry, Keshi, I've not watched the documentary, and I'll tell you why. I can't stand to watch this kind of stories where someone is committing those kind of acts and nothing is ever done. It's just not my kind of thing.
Thank you, Kerigo. Then we'll move on to Marie Claire. Have you watched the story, and what do you have to say?
Yes, we were talking about it with the Chico actually, because we didn't know whether it was true or not. You know, it really looks like it wasn't a true story. You know, it's first of all, I know I'm going to really make some people probably angry, but the first thing is like, oh my God, are these women, how desperate can you be to actually be conned like a million, to take loans and after loans without even thinking. But then again, he was so clever. I mean, everything, the way he posed, when you look at how he was partying, taking private jets and everything, it's really, I think this is, at the end, I was like a middle. I'm very like, I don't get the women, but then understand them at the same time. I know it's not something I would do. Even though I'm desperate, I would never just take a loan unless you're my husband or something. I would never take a loan after loan, you know what I mean? You have to have money as well. Not everyone can get a million and a million. So, and you're right, Keshi, because this is, again, it really shows the world we live in. A man conning, I think it was 3 women And also, I think what surprised me the most, it's a woman who posed as a mother of her child, knowing that he was conning other women. I really don't get women, we're supposed to be helping each other, but then you need to know what's going on. She might probably had the reason, the same thing we're talking about. She probably was getting paid in other choice. So there is a lot of controversy in this documentary or whatever you want to call it, but it's something that I haven't forgotten about, and I don't think I will ever forget it, but it makes me also very scared of this online dating, because
thank
you're
you.
like, what, I can't, because you don't know what these people who are, where come from. And when you think about, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it goes 6 months, because 6 months in prison, whatever, he was given a chance to start a new business. Can you believe it, to give also a chance someone like that to be allowed to start another business? Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't even jailed for 6 months for defrauding the women. It was for some crimes he'd committed in his own country, in Israel. So the defrauding of women he's never been charged or punished for it. But what I wanted to mention is that this is a con that was well thought out, because even before he started asking the first woman, Cecilia, for money, it took 4 months. And in these 4 months, he romanced her and showed her that he was a wealthy businessman who comes from a wealthy family, and he showed her a wealthy lifestyle, and he was a Prince Charming. She's been conditioned by movies like Beauty and the Beast to look for a guy who will come and save her. So he didn't just come and defraud her. So we may be, of course, looking down at these women and thinking, oh, but it took a, it was a well thought out con. I'm not saying, this is not the behavior I personally would do, but we have to look at the story. So we'll move on to Shakira.
Yes, I can say that I haven't watched the Netflix documentary myself, but I have discussed it with Shika and Jamila, and I think I've also seen like a lot of content about it. And for me, I just think it's a lot of that's just, okay, we already said that it's everybody's personal opinions. I think it's just dumb. I think honestly, it's just stupid. Why would you give a man that you've known for I don't even know how long, because you really like Beauty and the Beast, you gave this man £10,000 and started all like, you committed fraud and did all these illegal things for a man that you've known for
to point
how
out,
long?
she did not know that it was fraudulent. She was just supporting her man.
Excuse me, Keshi, I beg to differ. There was a point where she knew she was committing fraud when he told her to accept or lie that she's an employee of the company, and he gave her these fake salary slips where she was earning 90,000 a month. At that point, she knew she was also engaging in criminal activity. So, and that was when I thought, okay, now, what you've made your bed, you can lie on it. So
thank you,
sorry
Shiko.
to interrupt. I just had to correct you there when you said she didn't know.
Yeah, she initially didn't know she was supporting a fraudulent guy. And
Keshi, there's a sucker born every minute, and she was one of them.
Well, what I find interesting, and we mentioned earlier, is that when women get caught up in these situations, they are called gold diggers, they are called social climbers. And this is the response these women, some responses these women got when this came out in social media. So I guess, so we are just, yeah. But the point being is, why is the focus not being on this man, and the focus is being on these women being gullible? Why isn't there focus on the guy? Why isn't there punishment for somebody defrauding people? Why is he allowed to get away with it? We'll move on to Catherine. What do you think of the story?
Yes, I watched it last night. I found it extremely irritating and very painful to watch. It was just madness all through from the first minute to the last, with him, the way he set it up, the way the women fell for it, and the way he got away with it. It was just unbelievable, and you wish it was just a fairy tale. My point, I did have to question the women, because I thought, no, I mean, God, I would never do that. I mean, how stupid can you be? But then I thought, it's one of those where you just don't know when you're in there. He really was really good. You developed that relationship. And, you know, we're blaming social media, but social media is telling these women that these stories exist. People live these incredible lives. They fly around in jets, they go shopping with helicopters. And these women all of a sudden thought, wow, now I just got the card. I just managed to be part of that, you know, social media story that I've seen in all my following stars. And, you know, it's this world between real life and then living in a dream world. And he just brought that dream world alive. And when they say, if it's too good to be true, imagine it's not true.
To be true.
But, you know, but if you finally thought you've got it, you know, you love the life, you love the guy. He wasn't even pretty, you know, especially, actually, to be honest, I thought he was actually more beautiful. I liked him better when he was sitting there without money and his 3-day beard. But it's, you know, it's, yeah, it's very hard. I mean, I just questions myself. I didn't want to judge these women, because you just can't imagine what it's like when you're in there, and you know, the way he lured them. And he was very, very good at that, for sure. And I would say I've never done online dating. I'm probably too old for that. But I actually like that one girl who said, because somebody said I'd be scared of online dating, and she said, no, I'm not. I went straight back on, you know. I'm still looking for the perfect man, and I got back. And I think, yes, you know, we have to embrace technology. That is the future. People don't go out, they don't meet at work, they don't meet at pub, they don't meet at gas stations anymore. You know, you just have to do it. But, you know, we have to learn the rule. And I guess as women, we have to remind ourselves that if it's too good to be true, it probably isn't.
Thank you, Catherine. And Shiro?
I also watched it. And I think I applaud the women for being brave to tell their stories, because they were criticized and called gold diggers and all that. But at least they have enlightened people. The one who I found maybe most gullible is the one who was told, he introduced a new girlfriend to her, and she still kept on sending him money. And she'd see all the pictures and how much fun he was having with his girlfriend, and saying they were perfect for each other. Why did she send him lots and lots of money?
Well,
I didn't understand. Huh?
Can I just, sorry to interrupt you, but that's actually, I think that's when I thought that his capability, as in that he was psychologically really good, because she said it many times, she didn't actually have a love relationship with him. She was brought in as a friend, so she felt she was a friend. She brought, you know, he traveled with her, he got her in with her new girlfriend, and she felt she had to support him as a friend. So the fact that he could sort of judge that, you know, in the very early on, that he didn't connect to her and couldn't start an amorous relationship with her, and he still managed to pull her in on the friend rail. I mean, that I actually thought, like you, she was the most amazing sort of person in there, because she didn't develop a love relationship.
Actually, I think she was hoping that something would come out of it. How can you just give someone thousands and thousands of a friend who just met? It didn't make sense to me. I think she was hoping they would eventually maybe have a romantic relationship. But the one I admired was the last lady, who actually got back at him by selling all his designer stuff and making him gravel, and, you know, and he was so desperate, but she sold all his designer stuff and she got some of her money back. I think that was a good one. But anyway, it's a lesson to all, you know, to be extremely cautious. But when emotions are involved, sometimes the brain stops working.
Thank you, Shiro. I just, Beryl, then I'll give my comment. Beryl, and then Jamila. finally.
Thank you. I haven't watched it, but it's so ridiculous. Just last week, I heard one of someone that I know, let's say like this, had such an experience in Turkey. It's someone that I know just dated this guy, and then she went to his home, and they had a good time, everything. And then in the morning, she just realized that from her bank application on the phone, there was a loan of 70,000 Turkish lira without her consent. He used her fingerprint while she was sleeping, and he got this 70,000 Turkish lira loan. And when she went to police just answered, "You were in his home. What can we do? You went, but by your willingness to his home, we can't do nothing." It's about a matter of consent, because you went there, you cannot give any evidence that you haven't been wanting this loan. He just got the loan, and they said, like, unless you come with a strong evidences, we cannot do anything. Now that I'm listening what happened in this series, also I'm gonna watch it soon. But I cannot just watch because my heart is really broken with this story, because it's really affected me. I know many friends of mine, just dating, and it's something normal because of all this corona time, using online applications. Many people just feel more comfortable to meet online before, and then that's fine. But how we will shape this, as a consent, how we will, maybe not going in the first date to the home, just to see outside in a crowded place before to see, and to never send any kind of money through online before to see the person face to face. It's not easy sometimes if you get emotionally liking and everything, and then this happens that if you go to police, you have no evidence to say, like, the police said you gave all your consent, and she's like, "No, he used my fingerprint while I sleep." Police is saying, like, how we can know? Like, can you show some evidence? No. And that's all. He's just like, laughing at her face. That's very heartbreaking.
Thank you,
And she
Barry.
can, she's not even one that has like million of money. No, she is also like troubling with the money, and she's into this trouble now that she cannot even tell to the parents because she's shy what she done. But it happened, and after this, I never done it online, but I think I will never consider even about all these facts. It's very scary. It's very tricky.
Thank you, Beryl, for giving us a similar experience from Turkey, showing that it can happen to anyone everywhere, and also that how cunning people can be. So beware those who date online, that there are characters like this. Jamila?
Yeah, so my opinion is more from like my point of view and how I would think if it was to go down. Because I mean, I can't even say like, oh, I would never like do this, because I don't personally think that the guy would have targeted me. And it's more of a point of view of, as like a Black woman, I've grown up to think that there's never a chance for someone to be like, oh yeah, I'm your Prince Charming, da 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 da, because most of the people that you see in these princess stories and things like that don't look like me. So I don't associate myself with that he chose to do it to, and they definitely don't look like me. So the whole situation, like, it makes me sad, but at the same time, I'm thankful for it. But that whole, he's asking you to do fraud, that's when I'm just like, that is your fault at this point. That whole thing, you did not need to give him money. I wouldn't even give money to friends that I know now, that amount of money to them. I could not trust it, because it's myself, it's my life that will be affected. And I don't know if you'll be affected. Like, he's saying, I need it for my business, I need it for this, that, but what about my life? If I'm giving you this money, then I'm losing out on something as well. And how is it that they didn't think he's rich and he has not one friend? He doesn't have a close friend outside of Tinder. That's weird. That's a red flag that I would have seen coming. If he's asking me, someone that he's just met, even the girl who is as a friendship, I would have been like, I'm your only friend? That's weird. Where are your other friends?
Yeah, especially being a billionaire's son. But I wanted to correct correct you there and say never. Some of his victims, he's actually been convicted in Finland, and they did Google searches of the women who are conned by him, and some of them look like women like you and me. I saw a couple of women, yes. So don't say never, say never, never say never. Never say never, because we've also had experiences of Nigerian conmen. So somebody who looks like you can also con you.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like in that aspect, yes, but I don't feel that, even in normal dating, it's like it's hard for, women, black women of color to get connected that much to like people from the UK, for example. So I would already think it's a con because I'd be like, are you sure? Because you were part of the community in high school or in primary school who used to like bully me or not even talk to me because I'm black. So I'm just like, no, I'm okay. I don't believe that that's going to happen. And I would be very suspicious of it. Whereas like some people are born with just, oh, I get stuff all the time. Guys always like me, blah, 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 this. And they can't think that, oh, maybe he's actually just playing me. And that can be anyone. So
yeah, thank you, Jamila. As I said, remember there are Nigerian princes out there.
Kenyan women are conned all the time.
Yeah, on my screen. Yeah, Shiko.
Yeah, I have watched the Tinder Swindler because it was all over the internet. Everyone was talking about it. Marie Claire said she'd watched it, and I just thought, okay, let me watch it. And I have to say, initially, your first reaction is to think, what is wrong with these women? But it's true that women victims are usually vilified in many different cases. Monica Lewinsky was vilified. People forget about the actual perpetrator. This guy was a perpetrator, and he was actually very smart in how he did it. I was actually very impressed. The only thing I didn't like is that he was doing it to innocent people. I wish it was like Robin Hood and just do it to all the people who deserve it. But he was doing it to innocent people who have had no money. And the way it was done was so clever. Like you actually see this lifestyle. He wasn't just talking about it. He was taking them on private jets, 5-star restaurants, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, you can see why they would believe this is the real deal. But still, even though I saw that kind of lifestyle, I don't think I would take a loan for someone, even after witnessing all that personally. I would just say, oh, yeah, thanks for the good times, but sorry, I can't help. I also wanted to say, in the UK recently, there was a politician, I don't know who he was, talking about crime statistics, and they were insisting that this government has brought crime down. And he was told, hang on, wait a minute, the level of online crimes and fraud has shot through the roof. How can you say crime has been brought down? And he was like, oh, no, I'm talking about real crime. There is the problem. It's the government, the people who are in power thinking things like fraud are not real crimes. And a lot of these fraud things happen to vulnerable people, older people, women. There's been a lot of online scams, fraud like this Tinder Swindler that have happened during lockdown because people can't do any other crime. There's very limited types of crimes you can do when there's a lockdown. So we already have an issue when a government thinks fraud is not a real crime. And he really was trying to backtrack. But the news presenter was like, you've just said that fraud is not a real crime. And that's an issue in itself.
Yeah, thank you, Shiko. That's for sure, that's true. That fraud is not seen as a real crime. And that's why people like this guy get away with it. And women are, like you said, vilified. They are seen as idiots and all that. So, well, what we have to say is in these Corona times, many people will be swiping left and right, and many people will be dating online. So buyer beware. Remember, there are these characters there, Shakira. Yeah, what do you have something to say?
Yeah, I just also, since I haven't watched it, I also have a question. Because I saw people saying that he took them on their private jet on the first date. Is that true?
Yes.
So I'm sorry, but that's where I come in with the, I'm sorry. I feel bad that they lost all this money, but I'm sorry, that is so stupid. You, on a first date, you don't know this person. You're gonna go on a plane with him? My first thought would be
to another country.
I would think I'm being sex trafficked. Why would I go on a
That would be
plane with a man that I don't know?
exactly.
Someone asked her that. Someone brought that to her attention.
Yeah.
How can you
It was
just
one of
go?
her
And
friends.
she was
Yeah.
already sleeping. Yeah.
Actually, it's very, very, very strange because I thought initially when he started asking her for money, I can see the first time somebody tells you I need money, but when it becomes now like it's she was getting messages every other day that the card has been rejected, please send more money, and she kept sending. There now, like you, Catherine, I say to myself, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That's all I could say.
And
I mean, I'm sorry.
The high amounts of the money he asked for, that's another thing.
Yeah, like to fuel my business. I'm like, why do you need your business? You should be running away if you're being chased by killers, people who want to kill your family. Why are you running your business still?
And this guy comes from diamonds. Why would he be borrowing money from me, who is just a girl who has a normal job, and I have to, those are questions maybe these girls should have asked themselves, but we should be glad that the story was brought so that anyone who goes on social media to date and you have these people sending you messages, help me because my father left me a fortune, but I cannot access it. I need you to pay £1,000 and you will get your letter and your name on the letter of administration. Beware. That's now the lesson we learn.
But I also have to say, if we're gonna talk about the ladies, let's also think about these guys, because there's been so much, as Shiro said, they were actually brave because they could have just thought this is too embarrassing, I'm not gonna come out and say anything. If you think about it, apparently this guy, after that story was brought to light, he got 250,000 more followers. This is bizarre. I don't understand how a perpetrator of a crime, because it's a man, becomes more popular, and then the victims get all these hate thrown at them and insults.
Chico, he even started a new business advising people on business. Of course, people will become his followers so he can advise them how to con other people.
Yeah.
But how he's allowed to operate after this now has become internationally known is very mysterious. I don't understand
because well, I asked myself, but in the end he did it very cleverly. I mean, he just made them lend him their money.
That's right.
He did never fraud them. He never did anything in front of the law. Morally, yes, but in reality, he just asked them to lend them money. He made them to to do the wrong credit cards and all this. But in the end, they did it. They did it. There's no trace back to him. You could never prove that he just asked them to do it for them. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's
for me. How
I think
about
the law
the family name he took? That's a crime. This whole persona of I belong to this family, swapping, putting himself with Photoshop with the father, so-called. That's something they can get him on, and they haven't bothered to
theoretically,
do
and also just while I was talking, I'm thinking there must have been all these WhatsApp messages where he told them, to that's sending wrong pay slips and setting up credit cards based on fake information. So yeah, I don't know. I think the problem is also, because he managed the women in one country, he lives in one country, the crimes being done in another country. He was just really, really clever. I can see how he's advising businesses, because psychologically and con-wise, he is very, very, very smart, unfortunately.
Well, yeah. So anyway, I think we've talked this story more than we intended to, but beware. I mean, it's like Catherine says, technology is the future. People go online to find dates, to find their soulmate and so on. So be careful. Ask yourself, why me? And why is this really true? Is this too good to be true? Like Catherine says. And if it's too good to be true, then it's
Then it is.
yeah. Yes. So Shakira, get me out of this.
Get me out of here.
Yes. Thank you everybody so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and share the video if you can with your friends. We'd really appreciate the support. Also, please click the little notification bell so that you know when we post next. Thank you so much for your support, everyone. Bye.